Okay, fam. So welcome to the webinar tonight. It's definitely sparked some attention. I've had quite a few inboxes regarding this, but basically is like, according to a lot of experts, economists, very famous investors, which I'm going to relate to a lot throughout this call. Ryan's got no sound. Has everybody else got sound? Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Ryan, log back out and log back in, man. Okay, so I'm talking about the global financial crash and potential recession. Am I saying that's going to happen? No. But I want you to basically go through these slides with me, and you're going to understand exactly why we are going through this process throughout it. So if you are a business owner, if you are working for a company, or you're working for yourself, or you're a full-time parent, this applies to you, okay? And you're going to see really quickly throughout this. But the best part is, whether this happens or not, understand that in life, through great chaos, also comes great opportunity. And let me explain that to you on a deeper level. Understand that this world, this ecosystem we are a part of, works in perfect duality. Okay. What I mean by that is there's no black without white. There's no dark without light. There's no good without bad. There's no positive without negative. There's, on a coin, there is a heads and a tails. The world has equal and opposites, and there's always a cause and effect. So it means through great chaos, there is also great opportunity. And the best part is, awareness is access to all things. And when you become aware, and when you start getting around the right people and listening to different people and looking at it with an open view or with an open mindset, the world becomes your oyster. Because as I said, awareness is access to all things. And at the end of this call, you'll have an opportunity to make a decision on how you live your life, okay? What I'm saying tonight is neither right nor wrong. You can take from this what you choose to take from it, okay? So I'm going to share my slides, and I'll double check with you legends to make sure that you can see them, and we will get the show on the road. All right, let me get the presentation view going. Okay, I can only see 2 cameras out of all of you guys. So Dusty, can you give me the thumbs up if you can actually see the slides? Awesome. All right, let's do this. So I've named this the market crash treasure map. And it's basically what I'm going to take you through is a step-by-step process on how to thrive and not just survive. And you're not going to just be hearing from me on this call. I'm going to be referencing everything that I talk about, and I'm going to show you why on the next slides. But with this is a guide to help you so that no matter what you're experiencing in your life, whether it's a market crash, whether it's a global crisis, whether it's the pandemic and COVID, whether it's a setback in your life, whether it's a health issue, whether it's a family thing going on, whether it's a personal challenge, I'm going to give you the steps so that by the end of this call, you will know how to deal with whatever life gives at you, it throws at you, and you can deal with it with your head up and thrive. Okay, so I just want to make it clear, I do not have a financial background. Please do your own research on anything that I say tonight. You'll notice I've got quite a few reference points throughout this. Whatever I say is just general and not financial advice. And this webinar is built to help you with your mindset and your future. Okay, so what I talk about on this webinar, it is not financial advice. I want to give some special credits to Patrick Bet-David. He's the owner of Valuetainment. A lot of the information that I'm going to present to you has come from him. The reason why is because he is one of the most successful global investors. Okay, and he's very well known in today's world. Next one, I reference a lot of Elon Musk. I also reference a lot of the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon. I'm going to be referencing some of their exact words, word for word, and also Raoul Paul. If you haven't heard of him, search him. He's the head of the GLG Global Macro Hedge Fund. These are some of the biggest names in the world. And why I say come into this with an open mind is understand, we all know that only 1 to 3% of the world lives life on their terms. What do I mean by that? I mean financial freedom. They wake up and do what they want, when they want, with whoever they want. Only 1 to 3% of the world do that. Why is that? Because they do the opposite to everybody else. So if you continue taking advice from everyone around you or what society says, understand, if you take their advice, you will get what they have. Do what they do, have what they have, okay? So throughout this, I encourage you to listen to some of the things that I say that are quoted by some of the biggest financial leaders in this world. Okay. Because at the end of the day, I don't know about you. If you were to learn how to play basketball, I hope you'd take advice from Michael Jordan rather than me. But so often when it comes to our life and our financial situation and what we do with our families and our business and our careers, we generally take advice from the people closest to us. And generally it's not always the best advice. Okay. So that's why I'm referencing some of the biggest names, because I am not an expert in financial markets. The reason why I'm running this webinar, guys, is because there are going to be some dark times ahead, I believe. And I want to give people the opportunity to prepare so that they are ahead of the game. Okay. So what you're going to learn tonight on the webinar, you're going to learn the difference between a market crash and a recession. You're going to learn and understand why recessions are so important to you, to I, and the global economy, and why they're actually a good thing. Remember, perception is your reality. Whatever you perceive, you believe. Okay. Your mind rearranges the world the way that you think. Okay. It's why when you say, oh my God, it's going to be a bad day, you generally have a bad day. All right. So come into this with an open mind. I'm going to talk about how you can actually prepare for a crash, recession, or a setback, how to build a bulletproof mindset, and how to thrive no matter what life throws at you. Okay. So why I've created this webinar, the reason for it is because if anybody's followed me on Instagram or my social media for the last 12 to 18 months, especially when COVID first started, which I'll explain part of that story, I have been saying, because I've been researching my ass off because I owned some substantial companies and I needed to prepare when we got hit for 6 during the COVID lockdown. And all of my research pointed that the worst was yet to come. And you're going to see by some of the words of these famous people coming up. So I've researched a lot of this, and I've actually been talking about this for close to 2 years on my stories, that I believe the worst is yet to come. It may not come, but it could. So experts are actually saying the global market will crash within the next 6 to 24 months. But get this, most of them, 75% of the S&P 500 CEOs are saying we might even be sent into a recession as early as this month, the 1st of July. Okay. And I'm going to explain this a little bit deeper as we go. But with the tools I'm going to present to you tonight, you'll be able to capitalize on the chaos and thrive throughout what you're doing. Okay. All right. So this is the market crash thrive guide. Some of the things we're going to cover is we're going to be talking about is like why it's so important to work on yourself with personal development. Okay. Every single day. The same thing. If you don't eat food every single day, eventually your body will shut down. But the thing is with your mind, if you don't personally develop your mind, you don't necessarily see straight away the repercussions of it. But for example, I had a 10-year school reunion. When we caught up with some of the people from our 10-year school reunion, some people, some of their lives didn't turn out so great, and they weren't bad people. But it's the compounding things that you do every single day that add up to the bigger picture. It's why you meet someone that may be even younger than you or the same age as you, and they've created an incredibly successful life. You're like, oh my God, how have they got it, but I don't. It's the little things. It's these 1%ers. So what I want you to think about as we're going through this is like, how can you improve yourself 1% every single day? Okay. Every single day. So with this, we're going to look to how to basically serve, solve problems, and add value career-wise and business-wise. Because I understand some people on here aren't business owners, and that's completely fine. But we're going to be touching on that as well. So look to basically serve and solve problems, because understand businesses only exist to solve problems. We're going to talk about that recessions are a good thing for the market and why, and they're a good thing for us. And then we're going to talk about how we can actually be solution-minded. And I'll give you a full breakdown on that. Okay. So I want to give you guys a quick bit of a rundown about myself and my family's experience with crisis and crashes, because we had 3 gyms on the Sunshine Coast, and my partner had a PT studio as well on the Sunshine Coast when COVID came. I'm sure we've all heard of that now. But we had 6 hours notice to shut our gyms, 6 hours notice out of nowhere. Okay. Which meant the moment we shut those doors, because we got told by the government, we had 6 hours notice, and it cut our income completely. We had 16 staff. And I don't know if you guys remember, if you're a business owner on this call, you'll definitely be able to remember this part. We didn't know what to do. We had to keep paying our rent and our leases. And if we wanted to keep our staff on board, we had to keep finding money to pay our staff. So basically, we had a do or die situation. It was either we lose our businesses or we adapt, evolve really quickly, make some changes so that we can thrive throughout this time. And what we did, we basically pivoted online immediately. We contacted every single client personally. We went over and above to over deliver them. We worked out a hiring system so people could have at-home workouts with their equipment at home. And then we set up online Zoom calls where we all trained together online. And this was before Zoom was even a big thing. We were all on the screen working out together, and we made it happen. We made it work. And what was even scarier and crazier is before we even had this happen, by the end of week one, because we had the gyms and we had all the fees, the rent, we were in the hole almost $50,000 week one. Okay. So we had to make things happen. And the reason why I share that with you is because so often in our life, we don't necessarily take action unless we have to. So many people I know don't quit smoking until they're at the doctor and the doctor's literally saying, mate, you got to quit smoking or you're going to have a heart attack. Same thing with people on weight loss and trying to get fit for their family. You know, they don't do anything until it's the last thing. Sometimes people lose their partner, whether it's a relationship partner or a business partner, because they've left things too late. I want to show you guys how you can anticipate and set yourself up for success throughout this call. All right. So how to capitalize on market crashes. So I want you guys to rewind back to the market crash of COVID. Okay. 2020 market crash, basically every brick and mortar business shut down like that. And for example, with us is we went from 100% in person. We did nothing online, 100% in person to face on Zoom. We just had to make it work. You know, we just had to. And the thing is, the businesses that did adopt and the businesses that did change throughout COVID, they thrived. And what's crazy, when we reopened our gyms after COVID, we had more members than what we had before COVID. And it was because we went that extra yard because we had to. But the moral of the story was throughout COVID, businesses crashed and disappeared forever. Businesses started, and some businesses absolutely thrived. Some people absolutely thrived. For example, I was a workaholic working 16 hours a day in my gyms, and I thought I was a great dad and great partner, and I was spending no time with my family. Day 2 of COVID, when I had 2 days straight with my family, it was such a shock to my system. I was like, wow, this is really nice spending time with my family. And now I'm completely online. I don't have to leave my house. So I get all the time with my family now. It's not always the best thing, but you know what I mean? But where I'm going with this, guys, is there's an opportunity in chaos because solutions are created, and solutions is what moves this world forward. Okay. And we all know what happened to the businesses that didn't pivot, or the people that played poor me, this sucks, it's too hard. They don't exist anymore. Okay. So no matter what you're experiencing in your life, whether it's business, financial, relationship, whatever it may be, I want to give you guys the opportunity to learn how to thrive and push through no matter what it takes. Okay. So I want to give you guys some cool examples here. Companies that started in the last crash. For example, I'm sure everybody's heard of Uber, Airbnb, and Netflix. These companies started in 2008 in the last crash. They're some of the biggest companies in the world now. They started in the last crash. They saw an opportunity and they took it. Microsoft and GE Electric. So Microsoft started in the recession back in the 1970s, and GE started in the 1910s in the recession. And these are the biggest companies in the world. Okay. But you're going to see later on in these slides how these companies are getting hit right now. Because I know so many people I've talked to is like, yeah, a recession is not going to happen. A crash isn't going to happen, that sort of thing. And it may not. But if you bury your head in the sand, if you're not ready for it, you are going to get smacked real hard if it does come up on us, okay? So should you be concerned about the economy? Like, why should this worry you? Whether you're a parent, whether you work for somebody else, whether you're a business owner, why should you care? I'm going to take you through why I believe everybody should have some sort of knowledge about what's going on in the world, so that you can prepare and you can set you and your family up for your future. Okay. So let's talk about this. The price of living right now, guys. This is just happening right before our eyes. And I'll give a really cool example here on the Sunshine Coast. I don't know what it's like everywhere else in Australia or around the world right now, but on the Sunshine Coast, fuel jumped from $1.60 to $2.20 almost overnight. And people were literally having heart attacks over it. And then it dropped down to $1.90. And now it's floating between $2.20 to $2.40 now consistently. And now it's just normal. You know, like this is all just happening slowly for it to become normal to people. But this is going to catch up. But get this, inflation right now is at its highest it's been in 40 years. I'll say that again, guys. The highest it's been in 40 years, and it's still climbing. But understand this, the government isn't going to tell you exactly the numbers because it will freak people out. But I'm going to show you some of the numbers straight from the economists, straight from the facts. They say inflation's at 8.6%. Have a look at these percentages below. Fuel, food, house prices, rent, used cars. Does the average of that add up to 8? No. I want you guys, like I said, come in with an open mind and open your eyes throughout this webinar, okay? Let's have a look. It's fuel is up 44% just this year. So all the numbers I give you is year to date, not 12 months since this year, the start of this year, since January. Fuel's up 44%. Food is up 31%. There's food shortages. Like you guys have probably seen in my stories the joke about the lettuce. Get this. I went to this local supplier the other day. It's called Urbackers. They're incredible. They're local farmers, and we buy all our fruit and veg there. And I got up to the counter with this lettuce, and it was probably a little bit bigger than my fist for $8. He goes, mate, you've done well. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, mate, that's the biggest lettuce I've seen all day. I know this may sound silly, and we don't need to stress out over a price about a lettuce, but guys, we used to buy lettuces this big for $1.95 6 months ago. Guys, there's so many red flags. There's so many warning signs to you guys go, great. We need to start adjusting the way that we live or how we do things to make sure we're prepared. House prices up 34%. And these are just averages, remember, guys. For example, Budrum, the suburb next to me, they're up 53%. Rent is up 19%. The home we're in right now, we are almost paying double than what it was 18 months ago. Double. Used car prices, 23%. People asked me the other day, it's like, why aren't you driving your big monster truck Navara around? It's because a young kid offered me $21,000 more than what I paid for it brand new with 22,000 Ks. Like, people are paying more for used cars and brand new ones because you can't even get it. But I want you guys to take this in, especially if you're working for somebody. If this inflation continues, or even if it just slows down, it stays at the rate of 8.6%. The average Australian pay rise, if you get one, is 2.3%, and that's the high end, okay? So anybody that owns a home here right now, all right? I know there's fixed terms and that sort of stuff, but I'm just trying to give you guys some sort of perspective of what's happening right now. The average Australian home loan right now, guys, is $550,000. That's the average, okay, across the board. And that's at 2.68%. The average repayment is $2,200 a month over 30 years, okay? Get this. If you go on any website now for a home loan calculator, the calculator starts at 4%. It starts at 4%. That's already an increase of $460 a month. This may not sound like much for some people, but for some people, that's a car repayment. That's groceries, you know? But not to mention some of the home loan rates that a lot of people are getting right now, and some of them that are going to increase 1.5%, 2%, 3%. That's it. Just on your average mortgage of $550,000, that's an extra $500 a month. Okay. And you're going to see more and more as I go out throughout these slides, guys, why I'm pointing out these little things and what it all adds up to. Okay. All right. So what do some of the experts in the world actually have to say about this? I'm sure everybody's heard of Elon Musk. You can see he's one of the guys that I absolutely look up to. All that stuff aside, whether you love him or hate him, I know he's a bit of a troll on Instagram and not everybody loves him, but I want to read out to you what he tweeted the other day in response to a guy. And this guy named Zach said, do you still think we're approaching a recession? And Elon Musk's response was, yes, but this is actually a good thing. It has been raining money on fools for too long. Some bankruptcies need to happen. Also, all the COVID stay-at-home stuff has tricked people into thinking you don't actually need to work hard. Rude awakening inbound. And this is from the wealthiest man in the world. Okay. He said a lot more about that. And I'm going to go into detail about what this last paragraph means about what COVID has created for the world as well with the economy. I don't know if you guys have heard of JP Morgan, but it's one of the biggest investment firms and biggest capital funds in the world. The CEO, Jamie Dimon, he stated this just last week. You better brace yourself. JP Morgan is bracing ourselves and we're going to be very conservative with our balance sheet. Okay. These are the most wealthiest people in the world. Okay. So when you're going throughout this, you can choose to listen to the most wealthiest people in the world that have obviously done something correctly to get their wealth, or you can listen to the average Joe Blow or your mate around the corner. Okay. These are the wealthiest people in the world. Okay. Raoul Paul, who I just mentioned at the very start of it, he's done a full webinar on this. And get this, he did a webinar with Ray Dalio 2 years ago, predicting this almost to the month. Okay. He says, so I've been forecasting for some time that the outcome is going to be a recession, and I've been slowly counting down what's coming. What we're seeing now is a terrifying moment where inflation's still higher, but economic growth is starting to implode, and the markets are really struggling with that. I think this continues. The tightening of rates, the rate of charging interest, et cetera, okay? Guys, these are the wealthiest people in the world that are putting their name on the line talking about this, okay? So why should I care? What if this doesn't happen? I sort of summarized this on my story today, but guys, you don't get life insurance thinking you're going to die tomorrow. You get it just in case. You don't get car insurance because you think you're going to have a car crash tomorrow. You get it just in case. You're anticipating, you're preparing, you're putting armor on, you're protecting yourself and your family, your future, your financial future, right? It's the same thing as like, why is Floyd Mayweather the best at what he does? He is the anticipation king. He studies his opponents so well that you watch him every single fight. He's fought the best fighters in the world. He's never been beaten. Love him or hate him. He barely throws a punch. He just dodges every single punch and occasionally puts one in. He's the anticipation king. The best of the best study. Okay. They study so they can anticipate what's coming. I'm sure we've all heard of like Virgin Airlines. Okay. Like, you've got these companies that literally hire a whole team of the best in the world to forecast what's to come and outline all the challenges they're going to face, and they prepare before they happen. Okay. So let's have a look at this. 75% of the Fortune 500 CEOs said that this month they are bracing for a recession. If you don't know what Fortune 500 are, they're the top financial netting companies in the world. Okay. So what can we do to prepare for this? This is where it gets excited. This is where you want to sort of start taking some notes. I first want to give you guys a definition directly from Google so you can understand the difference between a recession and a crash, okay? So what's the difference between a market crash and a recession? And this is where people get things a lot wrong, because a lot of people said when COVID hit, oh, we went into recession. We didn't. Let me explain it to you. A recession, guys, is a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by falling GDP in 2 successive quarters in a row. To give you an idea, America and Australia, the first quarter of this year, the GDP dropped by 1.5%. As of today, we are still down for the second quarter, and we have 1 day left of the quarter. So technically, if it doesn't pick up in the next 24 hours, on technical economist terms and investor terms, America will be in a recession and Australia generally follows. Understand this though, every past recession in the past, the government hasn't talked about it for almost 12 months, but we all feel it before they even tell us, okay? So I can tell you now, over the weeks to come in the next 2 weeks, expect to start seeing some things from some of the top forecasters, some of the top economists, some of the top investors saying that we are technically in a recession. But understand, you may not hear it on the news from the government for 6 to 12 months, okay? But understand, you will start seeing a decline like we've been talking about. For example, one of the guys at our mastermind last night, he was talking about like he's selling his house and that sort of thing. He's talking to a real estate agent. And to be a real estate agent this last 2 years, it was an absolute gold mine. You were selling houses for double the price, easily. You had people, for example, my sister's apartment she bought, there were people offering more than what it was advertised for just to get the apartment. Right now on the Sunshine Coast, they're saying that the open homes are almost down to a quarter of people going through. For example, people, I was talking to a guy the other day that buys and sells cars. You could literally buy and flip cars within hours, literally, because there was such a demand for it. Now they're just sitting there. It's all starting to happen, okay? If anybody's wondering what GDP is as well, it's gross domestic product, okay? It's basically how much money is your country producing, but I'll read the Google term for it, okay? It measures the monetary value of final goods and services, that is, those that are bought by the final user, produced in a country in a given period of time, say a quarter of a year, okay? So it's generally counted by the quarter, okay? It counts all of the output generated within the borders of a country, okay? So a recession, guys, the quick definition of a recession is if the GDP drops for 2 consecutive quarters, so 6 months in a row, we are technically in a recession, okay? And we have followed that so far this year. We've got 24 hours to pick it up, okay? What is a stock market crash, or what is a crash? For example, the crash during COVID only lasted a few months to be deemed a technical crash, which is a drop by 40% or more, okay? That only happened for a few months, okay? A stock market crash is a sudden dramatic decline of stock prices across a major cross-section of a stock market, resulting in a significant loss of paper wealth. Crashes are generally driven by panic selling and underlying economic factors. They often follow speculation and economic bubbles, okay? So a crash is just a short few months and it can happen overnight, but a recession is something that's a longer period, okay? But get this, understand some of the slides I just read before. These economists and these investors that run the biggest hedge funds in the world and the biggest investment firms in the world, they're saying it could be worse than a recession, okay? But as I mentioned, this may not happen, but it's nice to anticipate, okay? So what happens during a recession? This is for both business owners and people that work for somebody else. Companies go out of business. We saw that during COVID and it wasn't even deemed a recession. So for example, if you walk down the Sunshine Coast, the main street, almost every third shop has a for lease sign, okay? I grew up in Melbourne. If anybody's gone around Melbourne lately, down the main streets of Melbourne, almost every second shop front is empty with for lease signs up. Businesses didn't survive through COVID, okay? Now, what do businesses have to do, and CEOs and people that run companies have to do? They need to let go of staff. They need to lay off people to keep the company alive, okay? So if you are working for somebody else, we're going to talk about how you can be one of the people that is last to let go, okay? It's harder to borrow money. So that technically means as well, not as many people are going to buy houses and cars and that sort of thing because it is harder to borrow money, okay? People spend less. So for example, if you're a business owner or if you're providing services, you might notice a decline in that because people are tightening up because they're worried about filling up their car and paying for their groceries, okay? They're worrying about just getting by to the next week, okay? And the stock market goes down, okay? So I want to paint a picture, and I got this from Patrick because it was just a really cool picture and it really explains what I want to talk about for the next couple of minutes about why recessions are a good thing, okay? So I want you to picture a forest, and we've all been in a big forest or whatever you want to call it, like the local woods or the bush, and you see all the big trees, the tall, giant trees, and you can see it's a beautiful sunny day out there, but when you're actually walking through the forest, it still feels cold and it still feels dark. But who gets all of the light? Who gets all of the rain? The biggest trees get all of the light and all of the rain. And you'll generally notice the bottom of the forest, there's a lot of dead stuff. It's colder because they don't get as much of the rain. They get all the offcuts. They don't get all the light. So they can't thrive as much, okay? And I want to talk about that here because there are big trees that catch all of the sun and the rain. And I want you to think of them as companies. The biggest companies, for example, like you hear of these companies that go under and they need to be bailed out. That means the government or some sort of big investment firm is putting money into that company to keep it afloat. They don't necessarily do that for smaller companies, okay? And it means it's harder for younger companies or the smaller trees to grow up, okay? And that's what I want to break down with you guys, why recessions can be a good thing. And this next picture is going to describe it really well, okay? So crashes and recessions are like forest fires. You guys can feel free to Google this, but forest fires happen naturally every 5 to 10 years. They happen naturally. And it's literally to clear out the forest for new ones, for new things to grow. And that's the same thing as recessions. The global economy goes in cycles of 5 to 10 years. It used to be closer to 10, but the last decade has been close to every 5 or 10 years where we have big declines, okay? And yes, people get fearful. It's horrible. Everything's on fire. So you can look at this picture as you're like, forest fires are scary when they're happening, okay? But with all of this, these cycles happen for a reason, okay? I want you to picture straight after a fire, and we've all seen this before. So I remember the Black Friday fires down, like, I used to live down in Ballarat and Melbourne, Victoria, and we witnessed a horrible fire. Like, it wiped out towns. And after it, if you've ever seen a fire, it's literally everything's dead. It is horrible to look at, okay? But then what happens? And you see this on movies, and I got to witness this in person. It was beautiful. All the big trees are dead, but then you see all these beautiful new ones growing up. New growth, brand new opportunities, because now they're getting the sun. And this is where the world shifts. And this is why it's necessary for these things to happen. Because it gives the average person, it gives somebody that may not have been seen in the past an opportunity to be somebody. And you'll notice companies like, for example, like Tesla, Netflix used to get bagged out by Blockbuster, Airbnb and Uber. The government hated them, especially the other big companies, because they were the small dogs, and they all said they weren't going to survive. Nothing was going to happen, but they thrived. And now some of those bigger companies like Blockbuster, they don't even exist. This is necessary because the world is always moving forward and it needs to be washed out. And I'll break it down in a few more dot points for you guys. Okay. So what I want you to picture is if we do go through a setback or a recession or a crash, it's not a bad thing. But like a fire, it is scary when it happens. It's scary when it happens. But if you understand how to get through it, you can see that there is opportunity and light on the other side. Okay. So recessions are a good thing, and here's why. Bad companies and entrepreneurs go out of business. And I mean that nicely. I want to give you some examples because I've witnessed this, okay? Especially throughout this whole e-commerce sort of thing this last 10 years and the whole cryptocurrency thing this last 10 years and the NFT thing the last 10 years. Hasn't even been around for 10 years. But you've seen a lot of people become millionaires literally overnight. A lot of younger people as well. And some people have abused that. And they've gone and scammed people. And they've gone and done all these things. And you've seen a lot of millionaires that have almost stumbled across it like the lottery. This is going to wash all those people out. It's going to wash the fake people out that are out there faking it. It's going to wash the companies out there out that don't look after their stuff and don't have a good culture or don't watch their balance sheet. It's going to wash these people out and it's going to give you opportunity for new ones. Okay. It's going to give room for new companies to start and grow because it's clean slate. Understand, remember guys, what I said, through great chaos, there's massive opportunity because there's more problems. Businesses is just solving problems. That's what a business does. It solves problems and offers services or solutions. Really cool example is there was a company in Brisbane, 2 young dudes, and they own like this lawn mowing business. And when COVID happened, it's like no one wanted like anybody near their house with the shutdowns because they were freaking they were going to catch it. So like these kids literally lost their business of like doing lawn mowing and doing landscaping and that sort of thing. So what they did instead with their pump packs that they used to spray weeds with, they filled them up with sanitizer. And they went to businesses and said, we'll sanitize your business to make sure it's safe for other people. They ended up hiring 160 people within weeks because their business boomed by going around and sanitizing big businesses. That's what I mean. Through a challenge, they found an opportunity to offer a service and a solution, which created an opportunity, okay? It triggers another 5 or 10 years of growth. We've seen what's happened since 2008, especially with like cryptocurrency and a lot of online businesses and a lot of brick and mortar businesses transitioning online as well. There has been incredible growth. There's been new adventures, the world's moved forward. Like there's lots of opportunity for this to trigger brand new growth with a brand new lot of people and companies, okay? It also washes out the overpriced talent and pretenders. And what I mean by that is, for example, when I sold the gyms after COVID, I went on to do some business consulting for companies as everything started opening back up after COVID. And what I noticed is so many staff members didn't come back to work. The reason for it, it's like what Elon Musk said at the start. So many people could get paid more for sitting at home, working from home. They could get paid more for being on JobKeeper or Job Seeker. So they didn't go back to work, and it bred a lot of lazy people. But not only that, some people literally would just call up sick to work, and the boss was so nervous to say, no, get your ass into work or to fire them, that they're like, oh, it's okay, yeah, you just stay at home, because it's so hard to get staff members. Like, I've got friends that own cafes and businesses all over the Sunshine Coast. They literally post on Facebook looking for workers because people are getting paid more to sit at home right now. That's not going to last forever, guys. It's not sustainable. But not only that, there's been people in businesses that have demanded pay rises because other companies are after them, just for their company to keep them, because they think they're more special or they're worth more during what's happened through COVID, because they know how hard it is for business owners to keep staff on board. So the person that was earning $50,000 a year, they've gone to the business owner that's scared about losing people. Hey, look, mate. And I witnessed throughout a business I was working for, 3 staff members asked for pay rises, and the business gave them all a pay rise to 70 grand. I'm not saying they're not worth it or that wasn't the right or wrong thing to do. But what I'm saying, there were a lot of people that got pay rises because they abused the system of their boss being scared to lose people. When these businesses tighten up, guess who's getting pay cuts? Guess who might lose their job? This is going to level out the world. This is what I mean. There is a lot of opportunity within this. I'm going to show you more as to why. But also, it gives brand new companies and brand new entrepreneurs, brand new startups, access to talent that previously wasn't available. These bigger companies, the big trees that have these massive funds, are paying these people ridiculous amounts of money for work from. They're going to start cutting people, which is going to free up more talent. Okay. So let's take a look at the world right now. So as I mentioned, we've already talked about this. The inflation's at 8.6%, the highest it's been in 40 years. We've touched on that. You guys just know, go to your local grocery store or whatever it may be, like just a bag of groceries now, it's so much more expensive than what it used to be. Okay. Here's a cool example. I bought Xander some runners. I think they were $60, whatever, like these little Nike Airs. They were $60 probably 6 months ago. They're now $90 because I had to go buy them a new pair. Up $30, up 50%. You guys know what it's like going into the supermarket. It is crazy if there's stuff on the shelves. Filling up your car's almost double. Okay. But here's what I want you guys to look at. All of these prices are year to date, as I said. This isn't 12 months. This is since January. The S&P 500 is down 24%. That's the top 500 companies in the world combined, down 24%. These are the most successful companies in the world right now, guys, bleeding. Facebook's down 49%. Netflix down 71%. Bitcoin's down 53%. Amazon's down 41%. Tesla's down 46%. Apple's down 22%. The biggest companies in the world, guys, are down. And they're not just down a little bit. They're down a lot. And if you're in business and you don't think that's going to affect you, you've got a rude awakening coming. Same thing if you're a staff member and your business is going to have to tighten up expenses, staff are the first to go or pay cuts are the first to come. Okay. So the bad side of a recession is, like I said, is it's going to wash out the fake success. People that did have a bit of a lucky run and got lucky, they are going to be washed out. One of the hardest things it's going to be if we do fall into a recession over these coming months is business. So many businesses are still recovering from COVID. So 2 of the gyms on the Sunshine Coast I was a part of don't exist anymore. They're gone. Completely gone. They never recovered. Okay. And the other thing is inflation. Inflation is through the roof. And understand, they're telling us 8.6%, guys. You just need to look at your P&L for the week or what you spend or your budget. You'll see it's a lot higher than 8.6%. Okay. Remember what I said at this call, guys. Awareness is access to all things. This gives you opportunity to look outside the box and prepare of what could be. Okay. The opportunity side of a recession, though, is we've all seen this before. Okay. What I mean by this is there's a famous quote. I can't remember who says it, but he basically says, the further you can look back, the further you can look forward. And it goes on to my final point here is history and success leaves clues. Okay. It all leaves clues. It means you can study the past. And as I've gone over multiple times, is chaos also means great opportunity. Okay. There's going to be a lot of people hurting out there. There's going to be a lot of people struggling. You can come up with you can come up with solutions. If you're a staff member, I'm going to show you is like all about like upskilling, becoming more valuable to your team and what you offer the marketplace. Okay. So there is equal opportunity as there's equal downside, but you need to choose where you're going to sit. Are you going to sit on the side where you're around people leveling up and learning how to level up your mind? Because guys, remember, your friendships, your relationships, your business, finance, career, your life is a reflection of your mindset. And if you want things to change, you have to change. So why it can be the best time to start a business. Okay. So for people that are in business or want to start business, more problems equal more opportunity, which I've mentioned multiple times. A challenge as this is almost every single person I've researched or look up to, even myself included with business that I've had, is through great setback causes a massive trigger to move forward. Okay. There's no way backward. If you're at rock bottom, if you're pushed in the corner, there's no way but to move forward. There's no way but to level up and make it happen. And the way I picture this is I want you to think of your life. If you're having a setback or you've been knocked down, think of it as you're an archer and you've got an arrow and you put the arrow in your bow and you don't pull it back. You just hold it, you aim it at the target, then you let it go to shoot it at the target. Does it go anywhere? No. For that arrow to go forward towards that target, you must pull it backwards first. You must go backwards first to go forwards. Okay. Know that if you're looking at starting a business, there's going to be less competition. It's just like businesses aren't going to survive through this. You're going to have more access to talent and be able to pay the right market price for them. And not only that, you're going to have room for negotiation. I know like starting a lease now with a business, there is so much room for negotiation because they're finding it so hard to get people in these commercial properties. Okay. So there's so much opportunity within it for starting a business. Okay. Now, if you're in business or if you're a full-time parent or you're full-time at home or if you work for somebody else, this is for you. This is for everybody. I want to give you 7 quick, powerful steps that I'll recommend screenshotting at the end of this. How to prepare for a crash or a setback in your life. You can use these in every area of your life. Number 1 is my money. Get clear about your financial situation by calculating your worst case survival. Okay. So for example, work out how much savings you've got and how long you could live off it. Work out a way to have always at least 6 to 12 months of savings that you could live on if everything went to shit. Okay, that's just an example. All right. My war chest. So this is something that I learned from Kerwin Ray. And he said, don't just have a savings and investment account. Always have a war chest that you literally pretend it does not exist. And you have a portion of your income or a portion of your profits that go into that every single week. Okay. You always need some sort of backup on, like I said there, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months that you could live off without earning an income. All right. So one way to do that is reduce or optimize your expenses. Okay. Now, from an entrepreneur perspective, it's a lot of people talk about it as like, yes, you need to reduce your expenses, but you need to make more money. The end of the story is like, you need to make more money. Okay. So if you are somebody that is struggling financially right now and you're working a job is completely fine, by the way. I'm not anti-jobs. But if you are struggling financially and you're working a job and you come home and just watch Netflix or play video games or just drink beers, stop that now. Time to level up, learn a new skill, start a side hustle on the side, do overtime, or start a business on the side. You don't ever have to go full time on it. But I strongly suggest, even if we don't go into a crash or recession, you guys can see the cost of living. If you are struggling financially right now and you've got spare time, I would be upskilling, learning a new skill, and getting involved with a community to learn how to produce an extra stream of income, or becoming more valuable to your boss so that you can get more hours. Okay. Don't go wasting your time. I'll give you something really cool. And this freaks a lot of people out. The average Aussie wastes 4 to 6 hours a day on social media and Netflix. That's the average. 4 to 6 hours. Some people is more a day. But get this. If you just waste 2 hours a day, that's equivalent to 1 month a year. 2 hours a day wasted, which I know I probably could waste that some days without even knowing, 15 minutes here and there in between things, juggling kids. That's 1 month a year. Okay. Number 3, my concerns. identify your fears, dissolve them, create solutions around them. Okay. I'm not going to go into the depth of this and that sort of thing. At the end of this, I'll give you an opportunity if you want to learn it, all that sort of stuff. But my concern to identify fears, as in, if you're struggling with something, the worst thing you can do is just suffer in silence. Most people get so confused because their heads all jumbled like this and they don't understand it. But the moment you start writing it down, you can identify it and you can see it and it's clearer and it's not as scary as you think. You need to write down your fears and find a process or reach out to a mentor or get around the right people and learn how to get over fears. Okay. Because remember, as I mentioned earlier, your mind rearranges your world around you and you get what you focus on, and whatever you focus on expands. And it's why when you're usually fearful of a worst case scenario and you keep thinking about it, it generally comes true. But then learn how to create solutions around what it is that you're experiencing. Okay. So I could be on this call for hours, guys, but I know your time is precious. So I'm not going to break these down completely, but I want to give you some things to look into. All right. My gratitude, make a daily habit to shine light on the things you have. Okay. Because so often, guys, our darkest days and the life we have right now that we may take for granted sometimes, someone else is praying for. And the moment you can be grateful and you put the right energy out there, only then will abundance come to you. Okay. We need to be grateful for the little things that we've got. My growth, plan, price, and prioritize personal development. Upskilling is essential right now. Okay. What I mean by that, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, or you want to start a business, get around the right people and continuously work on this. If you're working for somebody else and you want to become more, is that what I highly suggest? Two things. Well, upskill for two reasons. Number one, so you're more valuable to your employer. You can add more value to the business. Ask your employer what would be valuable to them and go and do an extra course to add more value to the workplace. So you become more valuable as a person. So they wouldn't even consider letting you go. And you might even get that pay rise you're looking for. But not only that, if you're struggling financially, I highly suggest upskilling and learning a new skill and starting a side hustle, starting a business, and get around the right people so that you can learn that. Okay. Number 6, my plan. It's time to thrive. Plan and track your goals and achievements. Okay. Now, I talked about this with my inner circle the other day. Why do I always talk about goals? Every single successful person I know, or someone that has an extraordinary life, they talk about their goals and they reflect on their goals every single day. Think about this. When you first started driving your car, it was so overwhelming. Let's say it's a manual. You hop in, you're looking at the gears, you're stalling the clutch, you're looking at the mirrors, you forgot to put your seatbelt on, you're looking at the side mirrors. So much is going on. It's so much to take in. It's so overwhelming, right? It's like you're thinking about everything. But now you can literally jump in your car, be sipping a coffee and be driving and forget you're even driving. And you might even take the wrong turn back to somewhere you usually drive to all the time, because it's like you're driving automatically. You do it without even thinking. But at first it was so hard. But now that you've done it every single day, it's now automatic. It's the same thing here. You need to plan and track your goals. And then you'll notice when you have the right routine and the right habits, they'll automatically start coming to fruition. Okay. It's just the way this world works. And finally, for this part, my mentor, community, and network. Get a mentor or get around a community of like-minded people. It's power in numbers. Okay. So think about Mother Nature. Think about animals in the world. They all hang out in herds. They all hang out in packs. And we've all seen the movie like The Lion King or something like that. And you see the wildebeests running and the one that's sort of wandering out the back that's away from the pack, that's the one that gets taken by the lions. It's the same thing in this world, guys. Power in numbers. There's a quote. It goes along the lines of like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with many. Okay. Don't be a loser and lose alone. Find a way to thrive and do it with a community. And if you are losing, great. Throw your idea about what you're challenged with or what you're struggling with your community of people around you. Okay. Or get a mentor. Okay. Learn from other people and cut your learning curve in half. You notice anybody that you look up to has a mentor. Even Michael Jordan, the greatest basketballer of all time, had a coach, had a mentor. Okay. Now, for the business side of things, I want to give you guys some really quick things. And these ones are really quick. 8 steps to thrive as a business owner. Solve more problems. Okay. So as I mentioned, every single business solves a problem or meets a need. Okay. If you weren't aware of that and you are in business, the first step I would suggest you do is ask yourself, what problem does my business solve for my customers, for my niche market, for my ideal client, or what need does my business meet for them? Because the moment you understand what your business offers the client on that side of it, whether it's needs or whether it's a solution, you can double down on that, okay? Number two, create a community. If you're in business, have some sort of community, whether it's a Facebook group or a group chat, and create culture, because that's how people stick together. Understand that the two human core needs that every human craves is love and connection and growth. Communities can do that. It brings people together, okay? Number three, double down on your strengths and hire your weaknesses. So if you're in a financial position with your business, I would hire your weaknesses and double down on your strengths, okay? It means even as a business owner, CEO, director, double down on your strengths and upskill yourself more. Become a student of life. Continuously work on yourself. Same thing if you're an employee. Double down on your strengths and keep focusing on them, okay? Keep working on becoming that 1% better every single day. Number four, upskill yourself and upskill your team, okay? So if you've got a team, if you've got staff, get them into personal development or get them enrolled into a course or get them involved in a community or a mastermind. Get them onto audiobooks or buy them books. Upskill your team, okay? People crave growth and they don't even know it, okay? Progression is the secret to happiness. Increase your urgency. So whatever it is that you're working, increase your urgency and intention, okay? So you want to increase all of that because you want to be first to whatever it is that you're working on, okay? And understand, generally when you increase urgency and you move faster in business or in life, you generally fail a little bit more. But the most successful, the people that are ahead, have just failed themselves more and faster than anybody else. Okay. Michael Jordan missed more shots than he made. All right. Number six, 10x your value and your offer. Okay. Over deliver. So you guys would have heard of maybe the book by Gary Vee, Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's basically give, 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 and you'll receive. Okay. So you want to 10x your value and your offer. You want to over deliver. Okay. You want to, and it goes on to my next point, is you want to become irresistible. You want your business to be a no-brainer to your customers. Okay. So surprise them with things. Go over and above. And what you could do with your team, if you have like a huddle in the morning, or if yourself with your business owner, whatever it may be, you can ask, like, if you can ask yourself powerful questions, it'll dramatically change your life. Like one of the first things you can ask as you're starting your day of business each day is, you go, great, what is one extra thing that I can improve my customer service or my customer experience by 1% today? What is one thing I could do to deliver more? Same thing in your relationship. If all this sort of stuff happens, I know how stressful it can be financially in a relationship. How can you be 1% better for your partner through these tough times? How can you be 1% better every single day for your employer through these tough times? Okay. Remember, guys, I'm talking about this. This is a community. It's power in numbers. Okay. And finally, for this one, understand that lazy, stubborn, and over leverage will be filtered out. As I mentioned, like right now, this last 2 years, especially in Australia, the government's propped everybody up. They've paid for them for having time off work. They paid them for sitting at home. You know, like they've been forking out all this money that they've been printing. They've printed and borrowed trillions of dollars. Do you really think that's sustainable? Like, I can't make this any more obvious. So as I mentioned, guys, this may not happen, but please do your own research because I think you will be surprised, okay? Look, my final thoughts on this is understand that success leaves clues and history generally repeats itself and it rhymes, okay? So the more that you can look back, the more that you can reflect, the more that you can see forward. And why I say all of this is because when you get around the right people, you can learn to thrive. And not only that, is if you're actually going through physical challenge or mental challenges right now, there's no better way to deal with that than with a group of people. For example, I run a mastermind last night and I did it completely different than usual. Usually I get up, I do a spiel, I do all these topics and that sort of thing. And instead I spoke for about 2 minutes and then I broke them into 2 teams and they all talked about their biggest challenge in business or life right now. And then the whole table helped that one person each for 5 minutes come up with solutions on how they can improve that challenge in their business or their life. And honestly, probably 80% of the room came up to me or messaged me after saying it was the best mastermind they've been to, for two reasons. Number one, they got to get off their chest what it is that's stuck in their head. Sometimes we suffer in silence, guys, and you just need to get it out. Okay. And the next part they said is, what I noticed by seeing other people's challenges, I noticed that I'd been in that sort of situation before. It made me not feel so alone, but I got to learn more about myself by helping somebody else with their challenges. Okay. So I'm going to be wrapping it up in a minute, guys. But what I want to show you at the end of this is, I want you to understand that by being around the right people, you can have a dramatically different life. Okay. And if you become who you surround yourself with. Okay. So I want to give you guys a bit of a rundown about what it is we do. So we run a community called the Masterverse. We've actually just relaunched it. And I actually talked about this with some of my community. I launched this back in January this year, and it went completely backwards to where I thought it was going to go. But you know what the blessing in disguise was from this? It forced me to look within myself and level up myself. It forced me to change my environment and the way that I was living, and I reduced some of my expenses to earn more income. But not only that, it forced me to study what the market really needs. And every single human, I want you to think about this for yourself right now. Every single person, no matter who you are, in some way, shape, or form, wants to belong, contribute, and have some sort of impact. Everybody does. It's why when you do something good, you love the praise, even if you don't admit it. You love knowing that you were recognized. Okay. But not only that, is what I've noticed is communities are so powerful if they're built right with an actual community, whether it's in person, out of person, online, or even creating something where people can just come to. One of my clients is actually on this call. He's created a community just for dads. And some of the stuff they share in there every single day, it's mind-blowing. It always brings a tear to the eye, you know? But throughout these times, what I want you to understand, and what you've learned throughout these slides here, is by getting around the right people, you can learn, you can cut your learning curve in half and learn from their mistakes rather than just your own. But not only that, you can brainstorm and get around the right people and learn. Okay. So if this is something you're interested in, I want to give you a quick rundown about what the Masterverse 2 or MV2 is, because I want to give you guys the opportunity to actually learn and become more and be around the right people. So give you a quick bit of a rundown. So Masterverse, our vision is to build the most powerful and dynamic community of achievers by creating the world's one-stop education and networking hub to help people level up all areas of their life and business. Okay. So you don't need to be in business in this. As I mentioned throughout these whole slides, this isn't just about business, but understand, if you're not in business and you're an employee, for example, life is business. Life is a game. You need to learn how to move the chess pieces. And that all starts, as I said, everything you're experiencing in this external world is a direct reflection of what's going on inside here. Direct reflection. Okay. So Masterverse, a lot of people ask me, like, what is it? Okay. It's an online mastermind, to summarize it, but our goal is basically like the next Virgin. So you'll have pop-up masterminds all over the world, all over Australia, so that you've got a community like a 24-hour gym that if you're a member, you can go to any of them. But the best part is being a part of a community that's online that you can talk to anybody at any time. Okay. So what's it look like? The way we do it, the reason why I initially started this is because when I went through my first part of personal development, when I was in my early 20s, I was in bodybuilding. To get the right mentor or to go to a seminar, they all started at $2,000 to $5,000. Like, it was so expensive to get around the right people. But not only that, you notice you've got a mentor in your hand right now, this phone, this piece of glass. You can access anything in the world, but it's so hard to know where to start or what to do. So I wanted to create a community and an environment and an ecosystem, or a hub, so to say, that anybody could afford. So the way it works, it's a monthly membership to be a part of this community, to be a part of this tribe, so to say, to be in this hub. Okay. And it's no lock-in, but you can be a part of it every single month. I'm going to be wrapping this up in about 2 minutes, guys, but I want to give you a quick rundown. The way it's broken up is events, community, and school. Okay. So when you become a part of it, you get access to our school, and it gives you a full breakdown of different areas of your life that you can go in and watch short videos that range from anywhere from 7 minutes to 40 minutes. So you can listen to them in the car, but there's actionable items and actual tools that you can download to your phone and your laptop and actually use to action into your life. Okay. we've also incorporated is our private Facebook group. That private Facebook group it's a members only area. And in that, we do mini lessons within that group. So just bite-sized pieces of information, because some people don't want to go through the school is basically an online login university. Okay. But if you just want easy access, there's all the mini lessons on the Facebook side of things, which has just started this week. So you're brand new and everything's saved and it's in guides and it's all really easy to look at. But this is the best part about it. You're part of a community. You're part of a Facebook group. I'm going to talk about the Discord in a moment, but there's also in-person events. And in August, all the details come out on the 10th of July about our very first event coming up in August. We've got some incredible guest speakers. And if you're a part of this community, you get first access to these events, okay? But I'm not going to go too far into it, guys. I'm not here to give you guys a full sales pitch. If you follow me on social media, you'll notice that I genuinely care and I love helping people level up and unlock their limitless potential, so to say. And this is just one way that I do it, okay? But with this, we've got our Facebook group, so you guys can take a screenshot of all of this. But what's cool is we've got our Discord. We've got our team in Melbourne right now. This is launching any day now. And if you haven't got Discord, download the app now, because even if you don't become a member with us tonight, you can be a part of this Discord channel for free. And what's really cool is it's broken down into what I call rooms. So there's a room for general chat, mindset, relationships, health and fitness, business, investing, Web3, NFT, cryptos. There's different chats that you can go in and just select the room you want to go into, and you can ask questions. You can reach out to people, you can chat, and that'll be global. So eventually every single day, that'll get bigger and bigger and more people will be a part of it. Okay. If you're local on the Sunshine Coast, you haven't come to our masterminds, come and check them out. Okay. But for you guys for tuning in tonight, if you guys want to, I'm going to put the link in the comments. If it's going to let me actually do it, I'll put the link in the comments. You can actually use that link now. Please don't share it with anybody else, because our membership goes up to $99. It's currently closed at the moment because we were rebuilding this last 2 weeks, getting everything ready to launch. But the membership for you guys, if you do want it, it's $79. Okay, $79 per month. That's less than $20 a week. Okay, most people are spending more on lettuce right now. Just kidding, dad joke. But where I'm going with that, guys, it's created so it's affordable for anybody. It's $20 a week. It's no lock-in contract. Jump in, check it out. You've got nothing to lose. You get instant access to myself as well. But not only that, guys, it's generally $99 a month of what the average person is going to be paying right now. But for you guys, it's $79 a month. So copy that out of the comments, because when I end this webinar, it'll be done and dusted. But for you guys tonight, it's all there for you. With it, if you don't have me on social media, please follow me. Anything that you want, even that link that I just provided there, it is live right now in my link tree. But not only that, if you got this link sent to you, or if you're watching the recording, whatever it may be, jump on my social media, because you can go through all of my posts. You can go through some of my highlights, and there's stuff that you can learn in there every single day for free. Okay. And a lot of the stuff, generally, some people don't like what I say, but a lot of the stuff generally, and I don't want to say this like with a big head, is generally right. The things that we've been talking about for the last 6 to 12 months have all come to fruition. Okay. So for example, a lot of people, like, I keep this personal, but for you guys on the call, I've been working in the crypto NFT space for the last 3 years now. Okay. And the stuff that I've learned in that and what it's done for my life, you guys get to learn a lot of that as well. Whether you're a business owner or a person that's working for somebody else, or if you're someone working from home, we're going to be touching a lot of that stuff about where this world is moving as well. And the best part is you get to learn from other people. You get to be around like-minded people, and you get to learn to level up and not feel alone in this world. Okay. So legends, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for tuning in. There will be a recording available. It'll all get sent off to my team in Melbourne tonight. It'll be up tomorrow. The link will be available in my link tree. So you feel free. You're more than welcome to forward that to anybody that wants to go back and watch the webinar. Any chats? Thanks. Awesome session. Awesome. Good. I'll check if there's any. Yeah. Anyway, hope you guys got a lot out of this. Please, I'm not going to open up to questions on this because it is recording. I'm going to stop the recording now. But